Israel's Security Cabinet has approved a plan to expand military operations in Gaza and remain in the territory for an unspecified amount of time. The plan is part of Israel's efforts to increase pressure on Hamas to free hostages and negotiate a ceasefire, but on Israel's terms. Dr. Elisabeth Kendall is the president of Girton College at the University of Cambridge and is a Middle East specialist. Dr. Kendall, welcome back to Radio National Breakfast.
Thank you, Sally.
How significant is this decision by Israel in your view?
I think it is quite significant because it entrenches this idea now that Israel, at least under Netanyahu, is looking to maximise its position. It's not really looking to take advantage of where it's got to so far militarily by now seeking settlements and seeking more diplomatic solutions, but it's doubling down. And I think that's incredibly worrying for many Israelis, and particularly for those who have family who remain hostage in Gaza.
And what's your analysis of Benjamin Netanyahu's intentions here? Will this approach really help to bring home the remaining hostages to Israel?
Yeah, the evidence to date makes that seem very unlikely. It's highly unlikely that expanding Israel's military operations is going to bring the hostages back or indeed lead Israel to a safer and more secure future. Now, military action can work to an extent, but ultimately violence breeds violence. And I think although there have been some successes, and we can point to the decapitation of Hamas in Gaza, the decimation pretty much of Hezbollah in Lebanon, not directly because of Israel, but also the toppling of the Assad regime in Syria, and of course a greatly weakened Iran now after 2 rounds of Israeli attacks. There have been successes, but all of those regions still remain highly unstable. And there's no clear endgame beyond this seemingly ever-expanding military operation. I think it's time to accept that tactical military wins don't necessarily lead to positive strategic outcomes, and that is especially the case where tens of thousands of civilians are killed in the process, as has happened now in Gaza. So, to sum up, wins that are won in this way are likely to be short-term if the root causes that led to the problem in the first place, in this case, a solution for Palestine, are not addressed.
You're listening to Radio National Breakfast and you're hearing from Dr. Elisabeth Kendall. We're talking about what is happening at the moment in the Middle East. Dr. Kendall, the Houthis fired missiles near Israel's main airport, Ben Gurion, at the weekend. They said that they're doing it, in their words, in rejection of Israel's crime of genocide against the people of Gaza. Is that the full story, or do the Houthis want something else?
The Houthis definitely want something else, but we can't dismiss their ideological rationale completely. The Houthis do have a slogan which says, "Death to Israel, death to America, curse on the Jews." It includes those words. And they do seek to defend the Palestinians. But I think we have to be alive to the fact that the Houthis also can see this as an opportunistic moment for them. They can present themselves to a war-weary base inside Yemen. They've been at war now continuously, pretty much for 10 years inside Yemen, and on and off for about 20 years. So they can present themselves to their base as the heroes of Palestine. And regionally, that also works quite well because they appear to be the only game in town trying militarily to defend the Palestinians. And of course, internationally, they make massive capital in the media out of this. They get a lot of attention. So it's definitely opportunistic, not just ideological.
Dr. Kendall, just briefly, because time is against us, how would you rate the capability of the Houthis at the moment? The US has continually been hitting them, but it seems that military capability is still there in some form.
Yeah, their military capability has certainly been dented by the particularly intense onslaught of American bombing under Trump since March the 15th. And also again today, in fact, just a few hours ago, by the Israeli Air Force, who had previously also hit the Houthis for about half a dozen rounds of bombings over the past 10 months or so. But the Houthis just seem to continue. And we have to remember that even if their supplies are dented, even if they have to produce less sophisticated weapons, all they really need to do is continue in order to disrupt shipping and remain a thorn in the side of Israel and America. They don't actually need to be that accurate. For them, not losing is winning, just continuing is winning. So I wouldn't expect them to stop anytime soon.
Dr. Kendall, it's always so valuable to have your analysis on our program. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're listening to ABC